No one left behind is more than a standard we all live up to. It is a way of life. It is part of our mission. If you or someone you know finds themselves struggling with their mental health, please contact the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline by dialing 988 on your mobile phone or text 838-255 to speak or chat with a qualified counselor. Hey, hey, hey! Is it
Hey!
May yet?
Oh my gosh. May can't get here fast enough. It's a little drizzly outside. It's cold, but man, I got May on the mind. How about you?
Are you really talking about drizzly? It's a little snowy outside here. It's a little snowy.
Yeah, I know. Well, we got all kinds of stuff going on all across the United States. We got the snow on the East Coast, so hey, prayers for everybody that you're safe and everything's okay. And then we got fires out on the West Coast, and I know quite a few people who have been affected by that. So, our thoughts are with you at this time, and we're just praying that everybody is safe. And for those who have lost homes, our heart goes out to you. And it's a time for rebuilding. So,
Absolutely.
just want to reach out to those people and say hey, and hope you're all right.
All right. Well, welcome everyone to episode 10 of the Run for the Wall podcast. I am Hitch, and I am joined as always with Boots. And today we have a very special guest, Sonia, old girl. Can't wait to hear that one. Ammann. No. Cannot wait. Like, where does the old girl come from? Like, I cannot wait until we hear about that. But if this is your first time joining us on this podcast or your first introduction to Run for the Wall, we are the oldest and largest cross-country motorcycle run in support of veterans, prisoners of war, and servicemen and women who were killed in action. And the goal of this podcast is to continue raising awareness of our mission while bringing about a sense of community and education on how each of us can show our support.
Right on.
All right, so sponsors?
Yes, ma'am. So we can't do this without support of our sponsors. When I say this, I'm talking about the whole Run for the Wall, not just this podcast. But Fuller Law, we give them a plug every single show. They've donated legal counsel to Run for the Wall, and they just give us incredible support when we need it. So if you or somebody you know has been in a motorcycle accident, you're looking for legal help, legal counsel, please call 1-855-FULLER-LAW, FULLERLAW. Chad and his group will take care of you. They're also on the internet at fullerlawforriders.com. Here I go again.
You're fine.
It's been a long week. Anyways, reach out to the Greater Ontario Convention and Visitors Bureau for their support every year for the opening ceremonies and the start of Run for the Wall. They're doing it again this year. We're already talking to them and getting all the graphics ready for the billboards and everything that they do. So thank you to the Greater Ontario Convention and Visitors Bureau. And then also on all of the routes, we have hydration trailers that follow the route. And those hydration trailers are available to all of the riders. And they've got water, soft drinks, energy drinks, snacks, and those are provided through the generosity and donations of PepsiCo and Coca-Cola. So have a Coke or a Pepsi and thank those two companies for their support of Run for the Wall.
Absolutely. Thank you, Boots. And I also just want to highlight all of our supporters at all of our stops across all 4 routes. And hey, RCs, ARCs, and state coordinators, please send us the information of those sponsors so that we can start to highlight them as well.
Yeah,
Just
absolutely.
shoot them over to us, pod at Run for the Wall, or, social.media, or send them over to Ted. Like, you all know our contact information. Send us the info so that we can really highlight all these wonderful individuals who take their time, money, just to come out and show their support of our mission.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, if you're listening to this podcast and maybe you want to support Run for the Wall in one way, shape, or form, you can reach out to us. If you go onto the website and go to the board of directors page, my email address is on there, or you could just fill out the contact form and get it over. I get all those contacts and I'll direct it to the right person. So
that's a good one. That was a good one, Boots. Absolutely. All right. So moving on to Run for the Wall news and events. Registration is open. So let's get registered. Let your friends know. Let everyone know. Registration is open. Choose your route. Let's get in there. And, one of the big questions, no, you don't have to start in California. No, you don't have to end in DC. Or for Sandbox, no, you don't have, well, I guess if you're doing Sandbox, that's just shorter route. So DC to Marseille, Illinois. So, get in there, register. And Boots, can you remind me of the when is early bird?
Early bird is coming to an end. Prices are going up on February 1st. So
Okay.
if you want to get registered at the lowest rate, now's the time to do it for the next 2 weeks or so, less than 2 weeks. Rates will go up February 1st, and then I think they go up again on April 1st or May 1st. Anyways, register now. Do it.
Do it. All right, kickstands up. Kickstands are up on Midway route Tuesday, May 13th. Central and Southern routes, May 14th. And Sandbox route, kickstands are up Sunday, May 25th.
Yep.
Any additions to that? Okay. All right, so we do have some information for volunteer signups coming from our routes. Midway is looking for volunteers for the following positions. Medics are needed for the medical team. So if you have any training or experience in that field, they need you. Sales for the merchandise team as well. So if you like taking people's money, this is the perfect job for you. No experience is necessary and training will be provided.
I got to say, the merchandise team is pretty fun. It's a great experience. You're basically in the trailer and you're, every time Run for the Wall comes to a stop, the merchandise trailer pulls up and we sell, the shirts and the hats and the pins and all kinds of Run for the Wall branded stuff. There's also, depending on the route, there's some other stuff on the merchandise trailer too. But anyways, if you want to work in the merchandise team and work the trailer, let us know and we will put you in touch with the right person.
Okay. Do you want to do the Sandbox announcement or you want me to?
Why don't you take that one?
Okay. All right. So Sandbox route, attention FNGs, or if you know FNGs who will be on the Sandbox route, if they're interested in riding in the missing man formation, email AllenKFarmer@gmail.com so that you can get on the list. They only have 8 slots left and they are first come, first serve. And of course, are only reserved for FNGs. And Alan wants you to know that the Missing Man Formation is a rolling salute to honor the memory of fallen KIA, MIA, or POWs. 5 bikes ride in formation with a space where 1 bike should be, symbolizing the person's absence. On each leg of each route, we honor a different individual in the Missing Man Formation. There is a short ceremony just prior to the departure of the pact, and we say their names so that their service and sacrifice will never be forgotten. So thank you for getting those announcements to us. What else do we have? Boots?
Again, if you have any announcements that you'd like us to read on the podcast, you get them over to us at pod@rftw.us.
Absolutely.
Oh, we got a few more.
We do.
So hotel and camping lists are posted. If you haven't made your reservations, now's the time to do it before things fill up. And if you're looking to do some room sharing, go over to the forum.rftw.us, and there's a whole section there where you can connect with other riders who are looking to room share. If you maybe have a service dog or you're a non-smoker or a smoker, you can figure out the compatibility over at the forum and post who you're looking to share a room with. Route itinerary booklets are in the final stages. They'll be out in March, hopefully. Just keep watching your route coordinator newsletters for announcements on the itinerary booklets. But if you wanted to look at last year's itinerary, go to the website, to the route hub, to your route page, and scroll all the way down to the bottom, and that's where you'll find the link to last year's itinerary books. I also want to talk about prepaid fuel. Prepaid fuel, I get a lot of questions, especially this week. I probably had a dozen emails asking me about when prepaid fuel will be available. So, as you know, most of the fuel is provided through the donations of the generosity of people who want to support our mission. However, there are a few fuel stops that we can't cover. Also, fuel prices are in a state of flux, and so we got to try to figure out what is going to be the average retail price of fuel in May, considering that in California fuel is twice as expensive as in Texas, for instance. We got to figure all these things out. And each route is different. The amount of fuel stops, the amount of bikes, all this stuff, it all comes into play. So we very likely won't know what the prepaid fuel cost is going to be until late March, maybe April. And it's possible that some of the routes, and again, it's at the discretion of the route coordinator, will offer prepaid fuel stickers in advance, but most likely just plan on getting them in Ontario or wherever you check in.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Prepaid fuel, is that only for motorcycles?
Oh, that's a really good question.
I mean, asking for myself as a registered cager this year.
Yeah.
I was just wondering. Okay, so we'll put a pin in that for now.
You know what, Hitch? That is such a good question. And I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, we'll put a pin in it. I just wanted to throw it out. I wanted to throw that out there.
No, because we do have quite a few people who want to participate and run for the wall, and they're not able to or can't ride a motorcycle anymore. First and foremost, Run for the Wall is a motorcycling event. But like Hitch is doing this year, she is going to be in a cage. She's going to be traveling along, either going out in front or following behind the last man vehicle. So that's a great question. I'll find out and we'll answer it in the next podcast for sure.
All right. Let's see. Meetups. Check the forum. There's so many meetups in the forum. So this is your opportunity to get connected with other riders outside of May. And in addition to connecting, did you have something on meetups?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, we got local meetups all over the United States. And if you want to start a meetup, please do it. I mean, wherever you are, if you're in Montana, if you're in Alaska, if you're in Hawaii, I know of one, Nick.
What a meetup.
But start a meetup. Start it on the forum. Get it going. All right. Hey, Nick, if you have a meetup in Hawaii, I'll come out.
I was just thinking that. I was going to say, I will fly to Hawaii for the meetup.
Hitch, you and I should go to Hawaii with our significant others and go out and visit Rich Boy, and we could do a podcast from Hawaii.
Nice. All right. What was I going to say? Runs to the run. So I know Hoofer's Hooligans. Hoofer was here. He talked to us about his run for the run. His run to the run. And that's leaving from Texas to California. But there's also a run to the run leaving from Williamsburg, Virginia. So any East Coasters who want to depart, I want to say they're departing on the 7th to head to California.
It's all on the forum.
But it's all in the forum.
So if there's changes or late calls or anything like that, your best source of information there is on the forum. Or I know, I think Hoofer's on Facebook. You might be able to DM him.
Yep. All right. And lastly, just an update on our communications in case this is your first time hearing about it. We'll no longer be using CBs. We're moving to the GMRS. That's what it is. I had to read it. The GMRS radios. So go to YouTube. Pretty Boy did videos. Check them out. Learn how to hook them up. There's probably something in the forum about them as well. So
Yep. All kinds of information on these little guys. They work great. I made a little custom bracket to mount it to my bike, and they're awesome. So check it out on the forum.
all right. So now we are going to move into the why we ride. And this is the portion of the podcast where we present a bio.
Yes. So I'm going to share my screen. All right. I'm going to try to keep it together. Today we remember a true American hero and a great warrior, Sergeant First Class John Lowry McCoy of Los Angeles, California. John was born on May 18th, 1925. That means that this year, on about the fourth day of the run, that would have been his 100th birthday.
Mm-hmm.
John McCoy served in World War II and was a POW in Japan from Christmas Day, December 25th, 1941, through August of 1945. McCoy went back into the service and fought in Korea, where he sustained yet a second combat wound. You would have thought that would have been enough for this warrior, but no. He then served in Vietnam. The following is an account of an incident that occurred not where he was KIA, but an incident that led to him being awarded the Silver Star. On 26 June 1964, as an advisor to a Ranger Battalion of the Army of the Republic of Vietnam, Sergeant McCoy accompanied a friendly unit on a military mission to dislodge a reinforced hostile element. As the unit advanced across an open area, it received heavy hostile gunfire from the front and was quickly pinned down. Sergeant McCoy rapidly addressed the situation, notified the commander of the unit's untenable position, and advised a counterattack immediately, and exposed himself to the intense gunfire as he placed himself with the lead elements of the company in a direct attack against the insurgents. When the Vietnamese company commander was wounded during the ensuing battle, Sergeant McCoy again exposed himself to enemy gunfire to assist in evacuating the wounded commander, and then administered first aid to him. When the casualties mounted and the troops were reluctant to advance, he moved from position to position under heavy gunfire to rally the forces and to advise his counterparts. His fortitude, personal example, and courageous conduct inspired the Rangers to proceed to their objective and led to the successful accomplishment of their mission. Sergeant McCoy's conspicuous gallantry is in the highest traditions of the United States Army and reflects great credit upon himself and the military service. 3 months following this incident, on 26 September 1964, Sergeant McCoy was killed in action in the province of Vinh Long in Military Region 4. Sergeant McCoy was posthumously awarded the Silver Star for gallantry in action while engaged in military operations in Vietnam. Then, more recently, in 1999, he was inducted into the U.S. Army Ranger Hall of Fame. John McCoy has 3 adult children, 4 grandchildren, and 2 great-granddaughters. His wife never remarried. McCoy is buried at Fort Rosecrans National Cemetery in San Diego. His name is on the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Wall, Panel 1E, Line 64. Sergeant First Class John McCoy, you are not forgotten. Your memory and sacrifice on behalf of our beloved country lives in our thoughts and in our hearts. You will always be remembered whenever we stand and sing the words, "Land of the free and home of the brave." It is not the worst thing to die in war. It is not the worst thing to be missing in war. The worst thing is to be forgotten in war. Say their names, tell their stories, never forget. Sergeant John Lowry McCoy, on behalf of a grateful nation, we thank you for your service. I just wanted to say that I learned about John McCoy on Tuesday. I was here in Prescott. I was at a cigar bar, Old Havana, with my regular group, the Old Coots, and we were in our little group having our conversation. A lot of these guys are riding on Run for the Wall, and we were talking about Run for the Wall and the Run for the Wall mission and why we ride and how we ride, and we were talking about some of the bios. And a guy who wasn't even part of our group, a guy named Paul Adkins, he leaned over and started talking to me and asking questions about Run for the Wall, and I started telling him, and he told me about John McCoy. John was Paul's father-in-law. So that really kind of brings it home that this man, what a great warrior, what a great example of a true American hero, is also a beloved father, grandfather, father-in-law, and leaves behind a legacy. So that really touched my heart. And thank you, Paul, it was great to meet you. I hope to see you again over there. And this is why we ride.
You know what, Boots? In celebration of his 100th birthday, I was thinking that we should definitely take this bio to the wall.
yeah.
But then that makes me think that every bio that we highlight here on the podcast, we need to compile a list so that these are included in the bios that we're carrying to the wall.
Yeah, I'm going to print them all out. I'm going to carry them with me, and we'll definitely have them.
Awesome. All right, customs and traditions. So today we're going to incorporate a few different ones. And we're going to start with the Rider Code of Conduct because, as we're getting closer to the run, I mean, I know I probably read this like my F&G year, and I haven't revisited it since. So, so I think it's a good, healthy reminder of, code of conduct and going into some of the things that we do each day, each morning. And
there's a lot of good information there, and I just want to tell everyone where to find it. If you go to the Run for the Wall website and you pull down the routes menu, we have the Central Route, Midway, Southern, Sandbox. Right below that, it says Rider Code of Conduct. And when you pull that up, it's not a long document. It's just kind of simple rules that, if you don't say them, you don't know. But a lot of it is just plain old simple common sense. And rule number 1, no attitudes. Check it at the door, leave it at home. We're all here for the same mission. And I'm not going to go through them all one by one, but it does address quite a few things that I get asked questions a lot on the run. So check it out. It's a good thing to know. Also know that this is how we keep each other safe and keep each other to account. And if you're in violation of the Rider Code of Conduct, that could jeopardize your participation in the run. Of course, that's at the discretion of the route coordinator. But really, you should know the Rider Code of Conduct. You should be familiar with it so that you understand, why we ride, how we ride, and what's acceptable and what's not. Also, that kind of leads me to the morning briefings. Every morning on every route, we have a morning briefing. That includes reading bios. It includes honoring our colors. It includes a safety briefing. If any rider, from leadership to the newest FNG, every rider is supposed to attend these morning briefings. If you miss the morning briefing, it could jeopardize your participation in Run for the Wall for that day. That's also one of the reasons why you cannot join a route midday. Okay, you have to join. Let's say you want to join the Central Route in Wentzville, Missouri, or somewhere in Missouri. You have to join either at the end of a day or the beginning of the day so that you can get that morning briefing. It's really, really super important because there could be road conditions, weather conditions. There could be a change in the route. We've had changes due to weather, due to road closures, due to fires, due to snow. So this stuff happens, and you need to be aware of it. Also, it's just another great way for you to fellowship with the other riders at that meeting. I did want to say at the end of the morning meeting, another tradition of the run, and if you're new to the podcast, you haven't heard it, but you'll hear it at the end. And if you've been watching or been on the run, you know that at the end of the morning meeting on virtually every route, the route coordinator will say, "How far are we going?" And everybody,
all the way.
That's right.
All the way.
We all shout it as loud as we can, all the way. And that's just a rallying cry to get you pumped up, to get you ready, to get you in gear. All right. And it's a great thing to do. It's super fun. I love it. I'm screaming at the top of my lungs. I'm hoarse. So it's super fun. The last thing I want to say on that note before we get into it, and Sonia, we're going to talk to you in just a sec, is when we get to DC and we gather for that picture in front of the Lincoln Memorial, we used to be able to sing, chant. We used to chant USA, USA. We get the whole USA chant echoing down the mall there, or doing how far are we going? All the way. Where are we going? Wall to wall. All these fun run for the wall chants. I got to say, we can't do that anymore, guys and girls. We gather there at the pleasure of the Washington, D.C. Department of Parks and Recreation. We have to get a permit every year to gather there. And it's getting harder and harder and harder for us to get those permits. And the permit comes with restrictions. And one of the restrictions that was imposed on us in 2024 is that we cannot sing, we cannot chant, we can't sing God Bless America, we cannot all recite the Pledge of Allegiance, we can't
no bagpipes.
Sing. No, we can't. We can do that over at the wall. Okay, bagpipes happen over in the grass area in front of the wall. But we cannot do that chanting in front of the Lincoln Memorial for various reasons. So please, this year, make sure that we hold each other to account. And also, remember, the public eye is upon us. So if somebody starts chanting, please politely remind them that there's no chanting. Let's not scream at one another. Let's not shout at one another. Let's honor the fallen. Let's honor the mission of Run for the Wall, and let's show the public how we act as a team at Run for the Wall, keeping each other in check there. All right, that's all I got to say on that.
Awesome. So those are our customs and traditions for this episode. And now, we're recording on a Friday. I don't have on red, so I went red with my lipstick. You see what I did there? You see what I did there? And
That's good.
Sonia's wearing her red. Boots, where's your red?
It's on my racing suit right there.
I knew you were going to say that because I could see it in the background. I knew you were going with that. How do I know?
It works.
It does. But no, we are so excited to have Sonia Old Girl Ammann join us today for this episode. And you're going to be sharing your experiences primarily with being an ambassador and what our ambassadors do. But before we jump into that, we want to know how you got involved with Run for the Wall in the first place.
So it was around May 2021 or 2001, not 2021, May 2001, 2002. I can't remember the year exactly. Eric and I were heading west on vacation, and we were on I-70 in Kansas. We started seeing some people in overpasses with flags, and we're like, what? And then a little bit farther, we noticed there's a motorcycle rider with a camera on a tripod, and we're like, what is going on? And then we see all the motorcycles and the chase trucks and all of these people heading east. And we were so curious about it that we researched it. We looked it up. And once we read more about it, we were like, we love motorcycles. We ride them. And we are strong patriots. And the more we started to learn and read about the run, it was like a mission we could stand behind. So it wasn't too long that we started joining.
That is awesome.
So what was your FNG year, Sonia?
So 2003, Eric went by himself without me so that he could kind of get a feel for the run. Okay. And then in 2004, I joined.
Wow.
It's been 20 years.
22 years. This will be our 23rd year doing the run.
Wow.
So, yeah. Mm-hmm. We've been around a while.
That is incredible.
Old girl has multiple meetings, so
Well, we'll get there. We'll get there. I want to know about cow pie too.
I know, right?
But we'll keep that. We'll keep that. We'll hold on to that.
Oh, so why do you ride, or who do you ride for? I know you said that you all are patriots. Are you all veterans, related to veterans? Like, how does that all tie in?
So neither of us served in the military.
Okay.
But we have family who did. And so the run is our way of giving back and saying thank you to those who served and the sacrifices that were made. So we do not take for granted the freedoms that we have today. My father was in the Navy from 1958 to 1962. I have a lot of cousins who served, retired out of the military and such. But, all that being said, I specifically ride for Keith Matthew Maupin.
Okay.
Although Matt was from Ohio, in April 2004, he was serving with the 724th Transportation Company out of Bartonville, Illinois. So although we didn't know him personally, we were living in central Illinois near Bartonville, or where Bartonville is at the time. So I kind of felt this informal connection between like the run, his story. We lived right there. In February 2004, he was serving with that 724 Transformation Company as a motor transport operator. In April of 2004, he was captured after the convoy was attacked near Baghdad, at the Baghdad International Airport, I believe it was. And for months, he was the only soldier listed as captured in Iraq. In April of 2020 or 2004, the captors released videotape showing a man who was identified himself as Maupin. And if you remember back at the time, that's where they were showing some of the, like him in captivity. They were showing some of the executions, like videos. So it was all around that time. And in June 2004, another video depicts an execution of a man being shot by gunpoint or gunshot. And they couldn't positively identify that Matt Maupin was the victim in that videotape. So family's still unknown what's going on with their son. In March of 2008, they received a tip from an Iraqi citizen, and they were able to recover his remains in Baghdad. And DNA testing confirmed that it was Matt Maupin.
Wow.
So, for 4 years, his family waited.
Right.
And we lived within 20 minutes of the base there in Bartonville. And what I think is worse yet is many people in central Illinois didn't know what happened to the transportation company or that Matt was even taken captive. So, Boots, when you talk about it, the worst is being forgotten. I feel like Matt's story wasn't known by many. And that's another reason why I like to make sure his story is known. So although his family had closure, there's thousands who are still waiting, right? The mission continues until they're all accounted for. And that part of the mission for me is we need the accountability. I can't imagine me and the family not knowing. They have closure, but for 4 years, I can't imagine the anguish they went through.
Yeah.
So that's why I ride.
Yeah.
Keep his message going.
That's why we all ride. To say their names, tell their stories, and never forget.
Never forget.
Yeah.
Right.
So in the...
I got it.
What's
so
that?
What I wanted to know, not to take us off there, but I wanted to know, right now you're an ambassador, right? So what positions have you held on Run besides ambassador?
Well, Boots, you skipped a question.
Did I skip a question?
Yes.
Okay, I'm not looking at our sheet. Let me go back to our cheat sheet. Oh, okay. We'll go back. You go ahead.
Mix it up. That's okay.
We could have, but that question would have, you know what I mean, taken us so far away from the other one. But I just wanted to know, in all the years that you've been affiliated with the Run, because you said this is 23rd for you all.
This year will be our 23rd Run for the Wall.
Have you done all the routes in that time? Like, what routes have you all done?
We have not. So we have done Central Route the whole time.
Okay.
And the reason why is, when we first started the Run, so this is actually a really good story for people who can't go all the way. We couldn't because we didn't have enough vacation time. So we, lived in Central Illinois. How can we join up with the Run? And so we would go to Kansas and then turn around and go because we just didn't have enough vacation time.
Okay.
We both worked for the same company. And as we gained tenure, we gained vacation time. Well, and we had family who would come down and visit. So Central Route kind of went through our home state there in Illinois, and family would come down to see us there in the Midwest. And so, while family could come, we stayed doing Central Route. Family can't come anymore, but Central Route, we've built a lot of friends and family, not just with the riders, but with local supporters along the way. We've connected with some very special people along the way. And so Central Route just has a very near and dear place in my heart. And so that's why we continue to do it. Awesome. So Central, because they went through our home state, it was easy for us to connect with.
Right.
But yeah.
Okay. All right, Boots, take it away.
Aha. So tell us about all the positions you've held in all your years on Run for the Wall.
All right. Well, the first 4 years, we were just participant riders. Not just participant riders. We were participant riders, and we were experiencing the full of the run. And again, those were the times we could only go part way. We decided we got enough vacation time, we go all the way, but we also said we want to give back in some way. So we started doing we did field crew for 5 years on Central Route. Mm-hmm. And then in 2012, the Central Route started the ambassador team. And so we were asked to be an ambassador. So I think we did that for 3 or 4 years as being an ambassador team member before we were asked to take over as team leaders. So this year, 2025, will be our 11th year leading the Central Route ambassador team. We love what we do and the special team we have each year.
Okay, so speaking of what you do, because over the years that I've been looking, I'm like, okay, ambassador sounds like something that would be up my alley, but I really don't have a complete picture of what you all do or the requirements to be on the ambassador team. And it's just I'm a clinical social worker, so the social worker in me seemed like it would gravitate towards that. But can you share with us what is the mission of the ambassadors? I know you said you all always ride ahead of the pack.
Yeah. So in a sense, the ambassador team is the front face of the run. So so it's it's a really important position because we're also part of the brand of the run in a way, represent that run brand. We ride ahead of the main pack, and we stop. We talked about those people on the overpasses that Eric and I first saw back in 2001. For years, people never stopped and talked to them. We do, right? That's part of what the ambassadors do. We will go ahead. We will stop at the overpass that we can safely get off of. Mm-hmm. If it's not safe, we won't do it. But we thank those people, whether it's one rider or 100. If we can safely stop, we will. And we will thank them for coming out and supporting us.
I know. Many times I've had people to them.
Yeah. There's many times I've had people cry on my shoulder because they can't believe we would take the time to do that, right? Or somebody who would give me something to take to the wall because they can't go. It's those moments that are really important to us. We go into schools and educate the students. That's the future of the run. So we need to make sure that they're educated on why we ride and the mission that we do. We also make sure that we're interacting with local supporters at our lunch stops, at the fuel stops. At our lunch stops, we're greeting, or dinner, either, right? Anywhere that's providing food, we will greet the cooks and the servers and all those people behind the scenes who make that stop happen so successfully. And really, we try and talk to these people before the pack shows up and the chaos starts, right? Because once the pack shows, the lines come, riders are tired, busy. They're hungry. It does. And so we want to make sure that we love them and we thank them and we appreciate them. And so that's what we do. Same with the reason why we want to be ahead for that, but even on the overpasses, is we want to kind of be there, thank them, and then be on the way so they can experience the fullness of the run coming. So we try and get off that overpass and going before the run shows up so they can enjoy the run. We also do things like leading breakouts to wreath lanes, cemetery visits. We partner very closely with the outreach team, and their mission is to meet with Gold Star families to honor the family member and the ultimate sacrifice that was paid. There's times we ride together. There's times we're very separate depending on the things that we have going on. But we are very close connected. And then because we're always at stops early, we sometimes get asked to do interviews. For some reason, I get pushed in front from our team. They really actually push me in front. But I think one of the things that we like to say is to be an ambassador, you also have to be willing to be a public speaker.
Okay.
because of these things. And you have to really be able to articulate the mission of the run. And so to be one, because you think about we're the front face, we're the first impression people get of the run as we come into town or come into any stop. We're very selective who is on our team as ambassadors and even the outreach team because of the impact they have on those Gold Star families. These teams aren't something you can just sign up and volunteer for. They're typically handpicked. Now, that being said, you can reach out and ask to be a volunteer, but there's a bit of a review process that happens.
So what do you look for in like an ambassador team member besides public speaking? So
there's a couple things, and some of it comes from the SOP, some of it comes from our own guidelines. You have to have gone all the way a minimum of 4 times and really truly understand the workings of the run. We ask that somebody served on another position before being an ambassador, whether it's fuel crew, staging, platoon leader, or whatever. Again, so you can fully articulate how the run operates. It's amazing the different questions we get asked along the way. And so being able to articulate that, if this is your first year or second, you might not be able to do that very well, right? Because you haven't fully experienced it. But that public speaking, the willingness and to just kind of go have a vulnerable conversation with someone. I mean, like I said, it's unbelievable how many times somebody has cried on my shoulder and I just cry right along with them. And just being able to just put yourself in that position and know the emotions that you're going to have. So it's because we are the image of the run. We just want to make sure we're upholding that. We're not just a group you ride with because you don't want to ride with the main pack and you want to ride ahead. That's not what we're here for.
Right.
We are here to be that voice of the mission and to thank those supporters.
How many ambassadors do you all have?
I think that typically 15 or so is a good mix because there's times we'll break up and we might have some people go to an overpass where we know there's going to be a school bus of kids, or we'll have somebody go lead a breakout over here while we're still, because the main thing is too, we still want to make sure we're doing the true mission, right? Where we're going down and we're greeting the overpass folks. But sometimes there is a breakout we need to do. And so we will split our team up. So having it's a 15 is a good number to be able to do that. And also outreach has their team and they're specifically small and they kind of, again, roll with us, but they're probably about 5, right? If you think about outreach, you don't want to show up with like 15 people and overwhelm a family.
Right.
So they're small intentionally so they can be more intimate with that family.
Yeah.
So
I recall back in, I believe it was 2019. Poots, do you remember what year I did this? I was separated from the pack to do a breakout to go to a radio station to do an interview.
That was 2019.
Yes. Were you all there? Like who I don't even remember who broke out.
I don't even remember because we've done a bunch. Because
I remember Gomez was there, so I was riding with him.
It must have been different because I do remember we went to one in Kansas one time. It was like was it Oida or something like that? It was one we did.
Familiar,
but there's been times that I've been like meet somebody on an overpass and they just like, hey, can I record you for a slot? Whatever.
Yeah.
Right? As much as we can in a stop. I know Boots. That's kind of what you do as well, right? And we'll say you need to connect with Boots as like our official representative. But there's times that I can't do that as well.
Yep. Well, I just want to say, Hitch, you better be prepared because I'm going to be pushing you in front of the camera this year.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay, good.
I hate it. I remember one time they were like this close for me, like the camera up, please.
I'll admit it. It
is
fun.
They don't need to see every rolling wrinkle.
Yeah, it's fun, getting interviewed when we stop, and but I don't want to take all the spotlight. I like to grab other people and bring them in, and hey, if you're on the whatever route you're on, whoever is always getting in front of the camera, just walk up to them. If you want to be in front of the camera, let me know. I will put you in front of the camera.
Yeah, I mean, some people have that gift. So
Well, and the guys who have been in my position before me, like Pretty Boy and Rich Boy, they're really good. And sometimes I'll just say, oh, you guys just go do it. Or I'll grab, somebody else I know who can speak well. Anyways. So Sonia, what is your favorite run for the wall, stop, or experience?
I would say Eric and I probably have different spots. I was thinking about this. He loves Gallup. And so again, we do Central Route. I like Gallup too, but I think for me, where my heart goes would be something like Holbrook, Arizona, or even West Virginia. So Holbrook, Arizona for us is, a lot of people don't know, and even on Central Route, like by the time you all are having a morning meeting, we're already on the road because we go to a school in Holbrook. Now the run rides past these schools, but we go literally into the schools. We split up as a team and go into the individual classrooms. A little bit more smaller groups, intimate. We can spend more time with the kids, share with them our stories and missions, answer their questions. 3rd through 5th grade. 5th grade has some really good questions that they're asking us. 3rd grade's like, how'd you get that road name? Like whatever, right? Like all of these things. But they ask a lot of good questions. And then in West Virginia, everybody knows the story right now. That's a history for the run. But what a lot of people don't know is we stop at 2 schools on the way up the mountain to Reno. There's a school in Smithers and a school in Anstead. And the pack will ride by Anstead, but we stop. And the kids, I think about, the challenges that we have with the run, and we really need to have those younger generations coming in. We need to keep that mission going. And I feel like starting with these kids is a way we can do that. They are the future of the run. They're the future of our country. And so helping to instill this in them now. And in Smithers, we will even do, I think this year it's going to be through 8th grade, and they're going to be in session still. So, to me, those kinds of stops, I love going to the VA hospitals and seeing the veterans, but the kids are the future.
Sonia, I didn't even know that you stopped at 2 schools going up the mountain there. I'm so busy on that ride, that leg of the day. I had no idea. So that's amazing.
And Smithers has a really, really important purpose for the run, or for like in our ambassador team. We met a Gold Star family there. And Sophie Angel and Megan English. Sophie was she was kindergarten when we first met her, and she's getting ready to graduate high school. And Megan is a Gold Star wife. Sergeant Scott Angel was killed in a training mission, getting ready to deploy to his 4th deployment to Iraq, and was killed in a training mission or a training event. And so we got to meet them, and we've watched Sophie grow up through the years. I mean, it's just the little teeny kindergartner when we ask who knows anybody who served, and she like raises her hand and says, my daddy. And she tells us that he died. And so just, that's like a very special time for us. And there's a lot of people on the run who don't know some of these little stories that we've gotten along the way as ambassadors we wouldn't normally have otherwise.
So speaking of these little stories and all of the breakouts that you do, the people you meet, the crying on the shoulder, how do you prepare yourself physically and emotionally for the run each? Is that your official response? Is that your...
It's a little harder. I'll kind of hit both, right? Physically and emotionally. We both work full-time jobs still. We both have a lot of business travel, long days on conference calls. I'm doing a lot of calls where we both work for a global company. So I'm doing a lot of night calls with other countries. And so it's not like we have a lot of time to do a lot of riding and preparation, but we ride year round. And even when we lived in Central Illinois, we would ride year round. It could be 25 degrees and we would still be out riding, right? And we'd be the only bike, because in reality, who wants to ride in 25-degree weather but us? And it really just kind of helped us kind of remember, like, you got heat, you got the cold, you got the humid, you got the dry. And if we could ride year round, we're hitting all of that. So we would never winterize our bike. And so we just kept that going. But it's a very stressful time for us leading up to the run because of doing the run and our ambassador stuff, preparing for all of that, the work, the travel. So to be honest, like the physically, we we just kind of conditioned ourselves after 22 years. We kind of learned some tips and tricks along the way, but it's not like we have one specific thing we do. Emotionally, I think even after all these years, I don't even know that I think I can emotionally prepare myself. Right? I just know I'm going to cry. I'm an emotional person. I'm surprised I could read Matt Maupin's thing to you would not even cry, right? Or talk about Matt Maupin without crying.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an emotional person. So when somebody cries, I cry, right? When I tell Scott's story in West Virginia to the kids in an assembly, I cry, right?
Mm-hmm.
I blubber like a baby. But I know that's going to happen. And so I think knowing that's going to happen, I'm just ready for it. And I think leading up to the run, because we're always so busy, I don't have time to think about it. I'm running on adrenaline. And I think, did I remember this? Did I get this? Got to remember this. Got to meet with this person. Like all of this stuff is going. Not a lot of it actually hits me till we're on our way home. And it's just him and I on the back of the bike, or us and another, buddy on the riding home. Then I'm like, what just happened? Right. And I can start to process all the stories and everything that happened.
Mm-hmm.
I do a daily thing in Facebook to kind of capture some of those memories. But I think adrenaline keeps me going, and then it all drains on the way home and it hits.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
I know. You got me thinking about Holbrook when you mentioned that. And I just wanted to give a shout out to the students who gather out in front. We stop, so everybody knows, we stop at American Legion Post 37 for lunch. Fantastic lunch, by the way. And there's always a group of students, I think they're high school, they might be junior high, I don't know, but they have a rock and roll band and they are playing hits from the 60s and they are killing it. They're playing Fortunate Son, they're playing Born to Be Wild, they're playing Can't Get No Satisfaction. I mean, all those 60s hits that you love. And they're doing such a great job. I remember my FNG year when we pulled up there. I was like, I can't believe these kids, to see 12, 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old kids playing these songs and doing such a great job just for the entertainment of the riders as they're standing in line waiting to get their lunch. That impression is just seared on my memory.
Yeah.
That was one of those moments.
If you think about it, right now they're performing for us, right? But they had to learn a little bit about us, and how much did they research us, or did they do that? We're putting that little nugget about the run or the motorcycles like in their mind. Just those little interactions can go a long way as them in the future. Yeah,
absolutely. So speaking of food, how's that for a transition? What's your favorite meal or on the run? I know there's so many.
It's hard to say. After 22 years, it's so hard to say because they're all so good, and I'm thankful for everyone who provides them and serves them and cleans up after us. It's not easy putting something on for how many hundreds of riders, but I think maybe one that stands out a little bit more is Eagle Nest. The Angel Fire Eagle Nest. And really what it is because all the local residents cook stuff at home as a bit of a potluck and bring it for us. So we have like this main meal, but all the side dishes are like a potluck, and you get all this variety of really good food. And I think it's not even just the food, it's the love that went into it as their excitement for us coming through and being there and wanting to do something. And I think like you combine that, and that's what makes it special.
Yeah, that's great.
All right, old girl.
Here we go.
Why? Like why? You're not even old. So
I feel it some days.
Well, and in addition to your road name and how you got it, I want to know when you got that road name, because it's not adding up.
I've had it for years. So, as you think about it, I am a little older than I look, but it has nothing to do with age. Okay. So my father gave me this name, and my father was an over-the-road truck driver for 50 plus years.
Okay.
And his CB handle was Old Man. And so I used to call home all the time, and our standard greeting to each other was, I'd say, "Hey, old man, what's happening?" And he would say to me, "Hey, old girl, how you doing?"
Oh,
And it stuck. And he's no longer with me, so I cherish that name.
That's
As
great. I
something that
love
my
it.
daddy gave me.
That's great.
that is beautiful. I like that.
It's not as some like Eric's, but it's one that has a lot of special meaning.
Well, wait,
to me.
what is
Okay.
Eric's?
Cow pie.
Cow.
What's behind
He
cow
earned it
pie?
honest. He earned it honest.
Tell
Like,
us.
I know he's not here to speak for himself, but I need to hear it.
He's on a business trip, so I get to talk about it. So he was, so if you remember the very first year I mentioned, he went on the run without me
Okay.
to try and get a feel for it. At that time, 22 years ago, it wasn't near as organized as it is now. And you could start at a lunch stop. And so we lived in central Illinois, so he was going to start up in Mount Vernon, which is where a lunch stop is for us. It's a few hours, like 4-hour ride down. So to get there, he had to go through Effingham, Illinois. And one thing about Effingham, Illinois is to know there's some cattle processing there. And so he was following a cattle truck, and he thought, at first kind of like he'll follow it, let them hit the deer, whatever, right? But then he started to notice something was hanging and down from there. Some part was bouncing around and sparking as it hit the ground. And he's like, at some point that's going to give way. And he didn't want it giving way and him hitting it. So he decided he was going to go around the truck. And so as he starts to go around the truck, I'll be darned, it gave way. At just the right time that the right back trailer tires hit over it and the trailer tips and the entire truck sprays all over Eric and the bike as he's riding down to Mount Vernon. So yes, thank goodness I was not with him. I flew out to see my dad. And so he gets to Mount Vernon, he's checking in, he's talking to him, and someone looked at him and said, "You look like you rode through a cow pie. That's your new name." So
that's how it happens.
Oh, man.
And when he got to DC that year, I think it rained like every day, but when he got to DC and my dad and I met up with him, he still had remnants of it on his straps and on the bike.
No.
Yeah. So he got that name, honest.
What do you all ride?
We are on a Harley Ultra.
Okay.
We are 2-up and very strategic packing for being 2-up for 2.5 weeks with our clothes, toiletries, rain gear, tools, our ambassador supplies, things you accumulate along the way. We've just learned tips and tricks to be 2-up for 2.5 weeks on one bike.
And so
no trailer, no nothing.
You talk about the tips and tricks that you all learned riding year round and the tips and tricks to packing. So what tips or tricks do you have for F&Gs?
I would say be ready for it. When it comes to packing, you don't need as much as you think you do. Right?
Yep.
Pare it down. If you
That's
think you need 5 shirts, you don't. Right? If you think you need 5 pairs of jeans, you don't. Right? Pare it down. But in reality, for an FNG, I think back to me in my own FNG year, it's like, be ready for anything. Any kind of weather, any kind of emotion, any kind of experience, be ready for it all. Find a buddy that you can relate to and who can take you under their wing. Your platoon leaders are some of your best friends. They're there for a reason. They care about you. But stay connected with some others in your platoon, right? Or get to know someone else on the run. It runs like a well-oiled machine, the run does, but be prepared for those myriad of emotions or experiences or some last-minute things that happen, like the central route and the tornadoes, or when we had an interstate shut down and we had to ride the side, right? I can't remember what that's called now, but we had to go on the side.
Frontage road.
Yeah, so and we're passing everybody who stopped. Like those are experiences you can't plan for, so you have to be flexible. Ask questions and learn from those who went before you. In reality, they were FNGs too, so they probably had similar questions, right? Yep. We're all a family, and we're all here to help each other out.
Yep. Great. Would you have tips for other riders that are any different from your tips for FNGs?
I think for me, when I think about riders who maybe have been on the run for several years or whatever, right? I mean, we've been around, like I said, 22 years. We've seen a little bit of everything. We've seen like things come and go. We're all here for the same mission, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we need to leave the personal agendas and the attitudes at home. It's not about us. It's about the mission. It's about those who served and why we ride. Again, it's one of those, be ready for those myriad of emotions and experiences. Just get yourself ready for those. We might not always agree with every decision that's being made, but a lot of times we don't know the full story behind it and the decisions, that's causing those decisions that are being made.
Right.
But just keep in mind, it's about the mission, right? We're promoting healing of our veterans. We're honoring our veterans. We're riding for those who can't, and it's a calling for those not yet accounted for. That's why we ride. If you're riding for yourself and your own personal mission, we need to leave that aside.
Yeah. Great advice.
Do you have any special plans for 2025's run? Like, what are your plans for this year?
It's, we're going to be on we're leading the ambassador team again.
Okay.
And it's a wonderful group of passionate people who really care about the run. They're some of the best run representatives that we could have. Some have been on the team for several years. Some are new. But just, some of the same schools we'll go to, some of the same people we'll see, but I think for us, because we have gotten so connected and people look for us along the way. I don't know that I'm planning anything special for an anniversary run, but we're here to do our mission. And so we're going to lead the central routes to do the mission of the run.
Right on. Excellent. Thank you. Anything else you'd like to add, Sonia?
I just think the run is a life-changing experience.
Yeah.
Right? We didn't think we'd be doing it this long, and here we are 23 years later, and we're really blessed to have gotten to know so many people. We've lost friends along the way. We've gained new friends along the way. We're just blessed to be a part of it, and it's life-changing. So I just thank you to everybody who makes that such a good experience every year.
Yeah. Run for the
Wall. Thanks for highlighting.
Sure. I know one thing I never expected was Run for the Wall to become like a family. And not just on, the one route that I've been on, or two routes I've been on, but across all the routes. Just the people I've met when I go to the Arizona Meetup, just all year long, especially since we started doing the podcast. I've got to know a lot of people a lot better. It really, we're all just one big family. And that was super unexpected.
Even the local supporters. I mean, we meet, every month I do a call with a World War II veteran out of Corydon, Indiana, that we got to meet. Just this guy sitting by himself on the side of the road or watching the parade come in. I went over as an ambassador and talked to him, and he just held my hand for the longest time, had tears in his eyes that a young gal like me would take the time to spend with an old boy like him. And we have been connected all these years. There was Korean War vet Charles was there at the same spot. We've lost Charles now, but they're family.
Yeah.
Even the supporters are family.
Especially the supporters. I ran into Paul Atkins Tuesday of this week at a local cigar lounge, and, now there's a new friend. And, we're able to talk about his father-in-law today on this podcast. So, unexpected things happen all the time, and it's really great. It's just part of the magic of Run for the Wall. So,
yes.
Right on.
All right. So that brings us to Tech Tips with Ted.
Tech Tips with Ted. And before I go into my Tech Tips with Ted, I forgot two announcements because I didn't write them down earlier, but I want to go back and talk about two things.
All right.
Okay. The first thing is I have Run for the Wall trifold brochures. I have boxes of these. I'm putting them up at the Elks Lodge and the VFWs and the Harley dealership and the Indian dealership and the BMW dealership and the Honda dealership. Well, Honda BMW is one dealership up here. But anyways, these are not doing us any good sitting here in my garage. If you want some of these, let me know. I'll send you some.
You can send me some, and I'll do the same in this area.
Okay, it's on the way. So if you're listening to the podcast and you want some of these Run for the Wall trifold brochures, just drop me a note. You can use the contact form on the Run for the Wall website, or send it to pod@rftw.us, and I'll get those out to you.
And I will add this too, Boots.
Yeah.
Those trifolds are available at rftw.us.
They are.
You have all of this material is on the website.
We got posters.
Yes.
We got all kinds of stuff.
Yes.
So check it out.
So if you want to produce them yourself, they're there.
Yeah, you can self-print the posters and put them up anywhere you want.
And they have the QR codes are on them, which makes it easy. That fits with today's times. People can just use their phone to scan that QR code.
Absolutely. And remember, the marketing of Run for the Wall is a grassroots guerrilla marketing effort. So you out there watching, you are our feet on the street. I can't be in Florida putting these in Harley dealerships because I'm here in Arizona. So if you're in Florida, Rev, Kev, let me know. I'll send you some of these and you can drop them at your local Harley dealership. We just... I get asked a lot, even in the town hall that we had on Wednesday night, what about marketing? We have a very, very, very small marketing budget that we're working with. And that budget is shared by Hitch for social media and me for public relations. So we have very limited stuff that we can do. And we need to rely on you guys to get out there, put these print posters, put them out, get these brochures into the hands of potential riders. If you're on base, if you're active duty and you're allowed to, make sure you're allowed to. We never want to put these somewhere where it might cause a problem. Let me know. I'll get you some of these. Speaking of the town hall, my other announcement that I forgot earlier, we did have a town hall on Wednesday to discuss changes to the routes that are coming in 2027. So if you missed that town hall on Wednesday night, I just posted this morning. I had to process the video and do some editing just to clean up the sound a little bit. I posted that this morning onto YouTube, and I published it onto the Run for the Wall website under news and events. That's under the Scuttlebutt menu. And that also went out onto Facebook and Instagram and everywhere else. So if you want to watch the recording, the whole hour-long town hall, including the presentation of the changes, as well as Q&A that followed after the presentation, that's also available. So now, Tech Tips with Ted. So today, this is going to kind of short and sweet. It's something a lot of experienced riders know. And even experienced riders forget, or we just kind of slip back into bad habits. So I'm going to talk about your eyes and where you look when you're riding a motorcycle. So you look where you want to go, not where you don't want to go. This is a reminder to focus on your destination, not your obstacles. And this can apply to many situations. It can apply to driving a car, riding a motorcycle, riding a bicycle. If you're involved in like marksmanship, shooting a firearm, or also even anything in your life that you're working towards, like a goal or an objective. You want to keep a high horizon. I always do that to myself. Lift my head up, keep a high horizon, keep your eyes focused out beyond what's immediately in front of you. Okay. And so you have to consider your eyes part of your steering system. So you look where you want to go, and your bike, your steering will follow naturally. So if I'm in a turn and I'm going to be going to the left, I want to be looking way out to where I want to go. Because if I'm looking right down at what's right in front of me, I don't have the opportunity to react. It's kind of the same in firearms. If you're shooting at a target here, you don't do this. You don't put your gun, aim your weapon over here and then look. You look and then aim the weapon. Look and then aim the weapon. Same thing with a motorcycle. You look and you go. You look and you go. So you want to also avoid target fixation. So don't focus on the things that you don't want to hit. All right. You want to acknowledge that they're there and then look for the out. Right. So if there's a bush, if there's a gator in the road, you want to acknowledge where it is and then immediately focus your eyes on where you want to go and look around it. Look around that object. Look around that turn. Look around that rider. Okay, pick a spot on the road. You can practice this obstacle avoidance just riding down the street. Again, situational awareness, make sure you're safe. I prefer to do it in parking lots, but you pick a spot that you want to avoid and you look for the out and you go around it. Make sure that you've got a clear path. Make sure that you're not obstructing any other traffic, causing any other problem. But again, this is a training thing that you need to train over and over and over again. Prepare for emergencies. Again, when you're faced with an obstacle, look for a path. And this really comes into play of the looking where you want to go when you're riding in canyons, or even when you're riding in the pack on Run for the Wall. Don't look directly at the rider in front of you. Look beyond him. Look to the rider in front of him, or maybe to the platoon that's in front. This will give you an advanced warning of what's happening. A lane change, slowing down, speeding up, any type of change in direction or speed, so that you have time to react or respond appropriately. And I got to tell you this, I've been riding a long time, and I've mentioned a lot, I have a lot of experience on the racetrack, and I do a lot of rider training, and I go and I have one-on-one training at least once or twice a year. And, I was with Jason Pridmore, and they do video training on a racetrack. And I'm like one of those guys. I'm like, yeah, I'm always looking up. I'm always looking up. Well, the video tells a different story. When I get tired, when my bike gets out of shape, when they're following me with the video, or I'm following them and they got video pointing back at me, and we go back and look at the video and the instructor says, look, you're looking straight down in front of you. And I'm like, oh, man. And it's one of those things that you just got to practice and practice and practice. And it's a perishable skill. You got to remind yourself to pick your head up and look out ahead in front of where you want to go. So that is Ted's tech tip for today.
Thanks, Ted. I love how we switch back and forth from you being Boots and Ted, but hey, it works. It works. You're the same person. You're the same person. All right, so we don't have a listener letter for today, but I do have another announcement that and I don't know how I forgot this one. I boosted up Midway and Sandbox, but Central Route is still looking for a photographer.
All right.
So if you're interested in being a photographer for Central Route, hey, come on out, join us. And we had a podcast where if you want to learn more about being a photographer on the run, we did a podcast. So you can go back and listen to that one.
We've had two photographers as guests on our podcast.
Oh, we did. Actually, yeah, we did. So, yeah, a lot of information there.
Yep.
But all right. So any last words for this episode, Sonia? Anything else you want us to
go?
I know you're like, is it May yet?
I know, right? All right. So everyone, for more information on Run for the Wall, visit the official Run for the Wall website at rftw.us. If you want to find out more on the forum, get into a conversation, it is forum, F-O-R-U-M, at rftw.us.
That's right. And send us your experiences on the run, topics you would like to hear, questions you may have, or if you're interested in being a guest on the podcast, send them to pod, that's P-O-D, at rftw.us.
That's right. And so,
until next time. How far are we going?
All the way.
All right, y'all. Bye.